Welcoming you all to the laboratory session on elements of cybersecurity, BCY 402. This is course coordinator Rasika MI, Assistant Professor Computer Science and Engineering, Cybersecurity Department, ATME College, Mysuru. So moving on to the installation of the Kali Linux, we go for something studying about the basic attacks in the cybersecurity. So walking around, we just have a look on what do you mean by this ransomware attack and how do the students are going to learn about this ransomware attack. There are various ways in which we can make the students to learn and make them aware of the different types of attack that could happen in precise. So one among them is the experiment which is prescribed called as the ransomware attack, wherein the aim of the experiment is to a ransomware tabletop exercise. We are considering insider threat. So before that, let us know what is this ransomware tabletop exercise all about. It facilitates a simulation based drill where the teams discuss their responses to an hypothetical ransomware attack. Hypothetical ransomware attack here means that they have developed a scenario. Based on the scenario, they are assessing and judging and providing the responses accordingly. It tests the incident response plan, the decision making and communication in a low risk environment, ensuring organization can detect and recover the real world attacks when it happens to be, and ultimately strengthening the overall preparedness and the security postures of the organization that we could consider for. So in order to know the resources, here is a good URL that you can work on and see how the ransomware attack happens to be. The ransomware attack basically deals with the money laundering and things like that, wherein they are breaching or compromising with the cyber security as a concern. So here the tabletop exercise we are considering is the insider threat. So we gonna make the students to prepare to develop a scenario wherein a ransom attack will be taken place later on, so through the insider threat. So there is an employee who will be working for, and might be some financial motivation or some individual threats or social engineering attack that could come into picture. So they will introduce the malware like the ransomware, causing the significant disruption and the financial losses to the companies or the organizations. So the significant risk will be analyzed by the students, making them in the team selection, defining them the objective, what is to be done, wherein the participants who represents various departments with the real world incident will be considered. The ideal participants will be from the IT areas. So the team selection will identify the set of participants. The scenario development, we will give a scenario to them outlining the attack itself. So the scenario element will be what attack vector that we are going to choose, initial infection point, data that is compromised because of the attack, and the ransomware demand that has been taken care for, and the incident response plan review. So it gives you the overall picture of how a real world attack can actually happen, and when it happens to be, what will be the incident response plans that we as an employee can concentrate on and try to secure and not to compromise with them. So by conducting this tableware exercise, we will have a real world scenario. It's as good as like enacting how the attack would happen, and with this the outcome learnings what we could get is how the initial breach or the vulnerabilities can be found out. Incidents response, the team discusses and implements the relevant steps based on the incident responses and the plans that they have to take care whenever the attack happens to be, isolating the compromised systems and preventing the further infections to be spreaded, and identify the source of the attack and remove that malware from the resources and recovery. So in and around this particular exercise, that is the tabletop exercise, provides a valuable platform to assess an organization's preparedness for the ransom attack, facilitated by an insider threat, by identifying the gaps and inefficiencies in your resource plan, communication protocols and decision making, and you can proactively strengthen your security postures and mitigate the potential risk. So this particular exercise deals with the exact scenario, how the attack will be placed, looking into the vulnerabilities when it happens to be, how good you are at taking the decisions, how better you are at managing the resources and the systems, how effectively will you decide to remove the system, act accordingly, and try to prepare yourself not to get hampered by the vulnerabilities and the attack that is happening. So in and around, to evaluate the decision making process and identifying the potential vulnerabilities, so various aspects of cyber security basics can comes into picture when we perform this exercise. So inside the threat is what is taken care for the ransomware. So this is about the exercise of ransomware tabletop. We could deal with this. Hope we keep ourselves safe, secure, and thank you.